do you say, everybody? It's time for Elephant in the Room with Jake Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie, part of Disrupt the Media on Roll Tide Pods. And I just want to remind you guys that we're always presented by MyBookie as we talk Alabama football like we do twice a week. You can get a 50% deposit up to $1,000 at mybookie.ag. And if you would have listened to this show, like our friend Ryan Anderson, who was in here last week, I kept telling you guys, beware of the Milroe run, but I couldn't have imagined that it would have been like it broke out to be. I just told you guys this.
Yeah,
said it a few times last show.
That was that explained it all. That's all we needed to hear.
You see what I'm saying now, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Good to see you, Jake.
Glad we're talking about a win.
Wow.
Especially a win that looked like that.
I know. There's so much to get into here.
Oh, yeah. I would not have thought we would have beaten LSU if their offense had moved the ball that way. But I think you had two offenses with Jalen Milroe playing like that are basically unstoppable. I mean, Jayden Daniels, I think as of right now, he's had a couple of years under his belt. The better passer and almost as good of a runner as Jalen Milroe, just not quite as physical. Man, Jalen Milroe showed last night that it's going to be hard for any defense in the country to stop him.
Yeah. Well, when he does that, when you see that type of an effort right there, I mean, you're talking about all right, let me start. Let me just start. I've said for weeks that I feel like the Texas A&M game, the reason that the line moved all over the place, I have been very suspicious of that. You know that. And I've said it over and over again. I think that he was injured. And I think that he was a drop back passer because he couldn't run. And then we saw the Tennessee game. Like I said last week, you started to see it a little bit.
Yep.
And now you saw it a lot, and they had no answer for it. I mean, but who could have had an answer for that?
I mean, Middle Tennessee State, I mean, that was a game you saw him run a lot, and you're like, all right, he's got some juice. Now, again, it was Middle Tennessee State, and I don't take a whole lot of I don't take much from those games because, usually you're better than them across the board.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you didn't really see, Texas, he made a few runs, but he was not as physical as he was this Saturday. He'd run out of bounds. He wasn't challenging people. This game, he was running the ball like he was a running back that, could also throw the hell out of the ball. But, man, he was dominating anybody that got in front of him. Stiff arms, lowering the shoulder one time. Just running people over, kind of setting the tone for the whole team. Defensively, honestly, I don't even know what you do to stop Jayden Daniels. It looked like he
was great.
We were giving him all kinds of looks, trying, as people say, trying to spy him a little bit. Good luck having one guy try to tackle him.
No.
You're not going to do that. And good luck trying to guard anybody and make the window small enough for him to not deliver the ball. He's going to do it. That guy, he may be the best football player in the country. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the country outside of maybe Caleb Williams, but I'd take Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams any day of the week.
Jayden Daniels is tough. He's a skinny guy, but he's tough. And I was shocked at how easily he moved the field down. Malik Neighbors, how many catches did that guy have?
Oh, yeah. And again, there were some small windows that we forced them to really make plays, and he stuck them in those small windows and made it happen. And then running the ball, he was a lot more physical than I thought he would be. Took a lot of shots. Now, eventually Dallas Turner, got him by the end of the game, but that's what's going to happen if you're that physical running the ball against Alabama. I know he got hit in the pocket, but
yeah, I know
the hits add up.
Yeah, look, and that's been kind of like the talk pretty much all day today and the last few days is about that hit. I mean, you first off, you were a physical quarterback. I mean, you like to get out there and mix it up. So you get that part of it. Did you think the hit that Dallas Turner had was a cheap shot? I mean, do you think that it should have got kicked out of the game? Is that targeting?
The 3 plays in question, I thought the calls were good. The horse collar on Jalen Milroe. I mean, you can't grab the guy by the collar and use your body weight to pull him down. I mean, that was textbook horse collar. I mean, maybe he wasn't pulling him down from behind, but that was a horse collar. And the one on Jayden Daniels, I mean, he grabbed him and threw him down. There was no, it's not like he was dragging him down and, landing on his legs using his body weight. The helmet to helmet, I thought that was pretty clean. If I'm a quarterback, that's where I want to get hit. I don't want you hitting me in the knees.
Right.
It wasn't a violent hit to the head. It was about as textbook as it gets. It wasn't dirty. I mean, you can't ask much more from a defensive player hitting the quarterback. I mean, that's about as safe as it gets. He got the concussion because he hit the back of his head on the ground.
Yeah.
And I believe he got a concussion. I'm not sure if that's
the
final.
That's what they said. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like in football, like up until I said 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, that's just a normal hit. And then and I've been very supportive of the rules to protect the players because I grew up. My dad was a Colts fan. John Mackey was one of the great Colts players, and then late in his life, he had this. It was like Muhammad Ali. Like you could tell the head trauma affected his life. And, when guys finish playing, I don't like to see anybody get hurt. I don't care what team they play on or who they are. I mean, I like it when everybody walks off the field like we used to do out back playing after school, I worry about that stuff. So I'm definitely not one of these guys. It's like, cheering on Ronnie Lott, running full speed and knocking a guy as he's catching the ball. And like, you remember those hits? We used to try to do them in the snow when I was a kid playing football.
I don't even mind those. It's the ones where, it's like the Pac-Man Jones hitting Antonio Brown over the middle of the field, right in the head. It was obvious.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the ones that are obviously malicious and you're trying to hurt the guy, the shots to the knee when the guy can't see you coming. I mean, you put your helmet in somebody's chest, put your shoulder in somebody's chest. There's no way that should be a targeting call. And again, I've seen worse calls out there. It was surprising that it wasn't a targeting call just based on what I've seen over the last few years. But not because I thought it was targeting, just because I'm surprised they let him get away with it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a clean play. I mean, you can just let them go.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with the 15-yard penalty for Dallas on that. I mean, I get it. Like but there was nothing dirty. It was one hit. You're going full speed and that's football. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't want to get hit, then it's not the right game for you. Play baseball.
Yeah,
that's what I did. Right. My whole life around baseball, but I still have, I'm so impressed with Jayden Daniels. I mean, like he is a hell of a football player. Like just watching him, I know Alabama's defense is great. Like I really believe in them. And just watching him just like, rip down the field with the runs and the passes and everything else. Like
when you watch Alabama do everything they can to take all the options away from him, and he still finds ways to get down the field, whether it's running, throwing, the ball's accurate every time. I mean, maybe a handful of bad passes, but he's sticking it in windows that most guys can't stick it into. I mean, he's just he's going to be a top round draft pick, and it's going to be very deserved.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny. Like watching him run was like, it was like watching Forrest Gump run, like he's skinny and he's just kind of like weaving. And then watching Milroe run was like watching Derrick Henry run. But both guys were damn good at it, you know? Like it was like two guys that are running the shit out of the ball right now. Very different ways, you know?
Oh yeah. The finesse runner versus the taking no bullshit runner.
I got a question here from a guy named Catfish in Nashville for you. I'm going to read it to you because I want to get this right. Ask Jake what was better, him plowing the Aggie in College Station or Milroe sending the LSU DB to the sideline. Do you remember that hit?
I do. I would say anytime you run over somebody from LSU and under the lights and that kind of situation.
Political answer.
I mean,
look at you.
No, it's not political.
Well, you know, I had a great hit, but what he did, if I could have done that, I'm just messing with you, man.
Because
you're known for some hits.
The reason I say that,
you got to admit that you're known for some hits.
The reason I say that is because I did the same thing in the LSU game, and that hit was a little bit better. Of course, the situation was a little bit different. I mean, we were down on the goal line. We ended up having to kick a field goal, and it didn't mean much. But I did get my one hit in on an LSU defender, and it was, you know, big time under the lights, and it was fun. The A&M game, we were, you know, should have – actually, I think they were rated higher than us, but we were still favorites to win. We knew we should have won that game. And kind of towards the end, and we were killing the clock. But I mean, you know, the momentum was on our side.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen's just running the hell out of it, and then he's just making them like it too.
I know.
And that was just kind of the cherry on top, you know, just step on their chest and you know, here, you want some more?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was to do that in the LSU game in that kind of situation was just, as I told you before the show started, that was one of my favorite Alabama games to watch just because it seems like, okay, we got our identity. Jalen setting the tone on offense, just running through people. I mean, what more could you ask for? I love that none of these guys are extremely well-known, high-profile guys. I mean, a lot of these guys are as good as anybody that's played at Alabama, but you just don't get that vibe yet. And I'm hoping, you know, again, we show up versus Kentucky with the same attitude and not thinking we walk on water just yet.
Rat poison.
Yeah, but I love the way that this team's evolved over time. It's just been so much fun to watch.
It has been. Like I know what you mean. There's something nice about their workman-like attitude, and also that these guys don't feel like some of the other Alabama teams. Like it's a different winning that they're doing right now, but they're doing it, you know, and you gotta like that.
Well,
and then Milroe.
It's not like a flashy mentality. It's all right. We're gonna just come in here and
you need a beer. Yeah, I gotta get you.
Step on your chest and beat you down the way Alabama beats people down.
Right, but that world, and I think Ryan made a great point last show. It's just not like that anymore. You know, like the depth that you have and the transfer portal and all that stuff has changed things. But it's also showing that Nick Saban is pretty good at the whole coaching thing too. You know, like I think he's always been the recruiting guy, but you know what? Like the coaching part of it, the mental part of it, you can tell he's having fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I think he enjoys coaching teams that are humble and understand that they're not just going to walk out there and the Crimson Helmet's going to win them a game, you know, whereas I think some teams over the years have kind of just thought they were going to show up and win, you know, and didn't have a point to prove.
Right.
Whereas this team, they feel disrespected. They, in large part, have been disrespected. I remember at the beginning of the year, people thought Jalen Milroe was unfixable. And you look at him now, and I'm not saying –
who said that? Joe Klatt?
He did say that. He did say that.
Hey, Joe, we love you, but yeah. What did you think about last game? I like him too. Like he's actually pretty good on the show. And I like next round has some great shows on the different Disrupt the Media, you know, pods. I saw that one too. And I'm like,
Joel's,
oh shit.
Joel's good at building up narratives.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But he's fun to listen to.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know?
And I don't know. I think he does have a segment where he talks about his mistakes.
So put that one in there.
But earlier on in his career, I know when I was in college, it was like he'd
don't tell me he shit on you.
He'd make a point like week 3, and then like week 10 when Alabama was good, he'd be like, "And Alabama's one of the best teams in the country."
Yeah, you
and
kept
just
kind of
forget to. Clay Travis too.
Clay,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Clay. Next time we run into him, get him.
Oh yeah, give him a swirly.
Yeah.
Next time I see him at Innisfree.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling you, man.
But I love Clay though.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, you like Clay. Like it's just it would be funny to. If I was there, I'd bring it up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he's going to see this or not, but we get him. And I like him. LT, I'll hang out with him and LT there. He hasn't been around lately, though. Like the one time he had the tour bus with his face on there and some muscular body behind it, and he would come. It was cool.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was there. We must have been, that was, what game was
like
that?
2 years ago.
Yeah. I was there. We must have just walked.
We didn't
right
know
by
each other back then. See, what did you know?
I did notice that bus. I was like, man.
Yeah, I was in there. I don't know if I closed the place, but it was pretty late.
Was that?
It was definitely like
LSU.
It could have been LSU.
It probably was LSU.
He was up there for a couple games, but I hung out with LT in there a few times. Our buddy Tripp sends his best to you and Ryan, by the way.
Oh yeah,
saw him on Friday. Then there's another guy that honestly, if the guy lived in Fairhope here, if he was an LA guy, I would probably want to hang out with him.
Before you say this,
you know who I'm going for.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know where I'm going.
I wish I could write on my hand and just show you because I know where you're going.
Yeah, because he's definitely got the type of personality that I like. But his comments about Alabama and eating Nick Saban's flesh, like, sorry, T-Bob. Not yet, bro. I was hanging out at
you went to somebody else.
Oh, did I?
Okay.
Okay. So no, I'm talking about I think he's a funny dude. Like I was at the little area that was actually a big area that the next round guys had in Nashville. And it wasn't on the main floor, like they had their own area. And this guy comes walking up and I'm like, look at this motherfucker. And he's got like a cowboy hat. And he's like decked out, and I'm like, this guy, where's he going? Like, where's this? And then it's him. And I'm like, man, I said, man, I love that getup, and that's honest assessment. Like, I love it. Yeah. He was going in there. I don't know if he did a show or not, but this guy
definitely had to be from Baton Rouge, or Louisiana.
I thought he
definitely lived below sea level somewhere.
I thought he was from like El Paso or something. And him talking about like Thanksgiving and eating Nick say the end of the dynasty. Like, didn't he see what happened to Lane?
Every time somebody says something like that,
even Feinbaum's all of a sudden now on the Alabama wagon. Oh, this is the best job that Nick Saban's ever done. You were firing him at second game of the season, bro. Like, what's going on now?
8 seasons ago, he was saying the same thing.
But it's always like that. But I guess that's kind of how you build
the narrative.
Well, if you're going to get Jim from Tuscaloosa to call in, you can't. you gotta go Polars.
Yeah, Jim or T-Bob from Louisiana.
You're causing the spill. Oh my God! Here, you take that right there. It's a cold one. T-Bob this is T-Bob from Louisiana. But yeah,
I did love his comments after the game on Dallas, though.
What did he say?
He said, "What did he say?" He said, you know what? Have you ever seen a great player that has ever walked on the field and they've got a chance to hit the quarterback and they say, you know what? I'm going to hit this guy a little bit more responsibly.
Is that what T-Bob said?
That's what he said.
Come on, man. That's a quote of the year. Like, this is the problem. And LSU fans, you don't want to hear this, but we just dealt with this too, is that if you got a guy that's really thin, like Bryce Young or like Jayden Daniels, they're great quarterbacks. They're not good. They're great. Jayden Daniels is a great football player, but he's also a thin dude. And those big guys are coming in, like you've said before, you look for those big numbers, you better get down.
No, yeah.
And that's just kind of the nature of the beast.
You just got to know. Yeah, you got to know.
You stood in there to take it, but you took it, and that's what happened.
One of the best quarterbacks I ever saw was Clint Trickett. And I played with him at Florida State.
Yeah, I remember
he went
him.
To West Virginia. Was about as tough as anybody I ever played with. He was just a smaller guy, and he couldn't put on weight. And had he had my body, that guy, he could read defenses. He could anticipate throws. He knew where to go with the ball. Knows football. Offensive coordinator at Marshall right now. There's so many guys out there. They're just, it's so hard to play at a D1 level because of the punishment you got to take. And he took it. He would take it, but he would do it to the detriment of his body. And it's just people don't understand the shots you take. It's nonstop, and you got to play hurt the whole year.
Yeah, and that's no good.
No, that's right. Yeah. But T-Bob, that comment he made, he was like, and he goes, I want a guy that plays a little dirty. I was a dirty player myself.
Is that what he said? I remember him.
You got to watch that clip.
I like it.
It made me a fan.
Yeah.
It made me a fan.
I was already a fan. When you saw the outfit that he rolled into the next round with, when I was
I've seen him on clips here and there, but this one I saw, and it was, I laughed out loud listening to him talk.
I had to tweet at him talking shit, and then I was like, but I love you. I don't even know if he saw it, but he's definitely what makes this shit fun.
Oh yeah. Well, he's from what I gathered in that interview, he's kind of my kind of guy to play with. He just, I'm not saying dirty players. I knew what he meant. He kind of do the like Taylor Lewan. Just walk that line, just getting people's heads and be physical with them, and just
what are you
wear
gonna
them
do,
out.
man? You're one step from the quarterback. It's not like I didn't think that he even tried to lay on him. He just you stand in for the last second. As a quarterback, and you did this job. You standing in for the last second. That's part of when you stand in there. What you're gonna take,
I'd rather get hit right in the chest than get hit in the knees, the ribs. Getting hit in the chest. That's the safest way to get hit as a quarterback is just right here. He falls and gets a concussion when he hits his head on the ground, but
is that what happened?
To me, that's what happened. He didn't even hardly hit him in the head.
Yeah.
He hit him in the chest and it slid up into his chin. But hell, same thing happened to me. We played Michigan State. They threw a flag and picked it back up, but the guy hits me right in the chest and it slides up and hits me right in the chin.
I remember that.
And, I went flying. And I looked at the ref like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
He's like, I hit you in the chest first. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. I was at Baron Hebert had this like place that we used to, this giant old hotel on a lake, and we all went there and we watched that. And then we were at the national championship game.
Yeah.
But I remember that, like, they had a big screen TV, and I saw you probably in, like, I don't know, 800 inches of TV hit right in the chest. And I was glad that you guys whooped their ass, because we had so many other things going on that it was like you didn't have to sit there and watch every second of it.
Oh yeah, no, that was the most fun game I've ever played in. It was just awesome.
We watched it though. I did a post game show from in there, so if you listen to the post game show, I think Brandon Dean was there because he came in and he's a Mobile guy.
I was sitting on the bench, and that screen's from 20 to 20, so it's 60 yards long,
right?
And I remember this is kind of getting to the point where I was out of the game, or all the offensive starters were out of the game, and looking up there and they're showing a play, and then all of a sudden it just comes to my face, and I was like, oh shit, take me out of that.
What the worst thing that you could be doing on the screen when you get put on there?
I think going deep, picking the nose. For
Yeah,
sure,
that would be. That's right where I thought first. That would be terrible. Or yelling at somebody, because sometimes you yell at people that are on your team because you're pissed, but you're not really pissed. You're just like, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a narrative. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Thank God they didn't have these when KA flag football was.
Been a rough look.
It would have been terrible. Yeah, some guys that would have gotten yelled at. Probably me.
Can you imagine if they had live mics on the field where they could hear players and what they're saying? I mean,
one day.
I hope not. Or it'd be one of those things. Hey, I hate I missed NIL, but I'm glad I missed these live mics.
Yeah. Yeah, your life would have been different with some NIL, huh?
I mean, it would have been crazy, but the house would have been, the down payment would have been a lot better.
Oh yeah, I'd have cashed in. It really is. Honestly, it's crazy that it took this long to get here.
Yeah, and I still think it's kind of crazy. I mean, I think guys should be able to make money on their true name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
Instead of I think we've talked about this. But
well, they've effed it up because they've turned it into
it's a recruiting tool now.
And that doesn't need to be it. Like, it needs to be, you go out there, perform like Will Reichert. Is it like Saban said? He's a great example of it. I know you've been down on him because he missed 2 field goals.
No. No, and he missed those field. I was pissed. My brother-in-law was sitting there watching. He was at our house watching the game, and Will Reichert walks out there and he goes, well, give us 3. And I was like, shut your mouth.
He did it.
I was like, what is wrong with you? And then he, wide right. But you can't get mad at him because I think that's the first field goal he's missed all year. Well, but what does make me nervous, he did it again in the same spot. And I hope it's not one of those triggers for the yips.
No, come on, man. The second one was pretty close. Like, it just happens. You know what happened is that on the tailgate show that I do, I said that I thought Bama would win by 3 scores. And if he would have hit that one of those field goals, I'd have been right. But I'm never right. I've had a terrible effing year. And I went 1-3 last week. The only game I got right, Alabama. The only thing I got right is I said Jalen Milroe was going to be.
You blew it on USC.
I mean, the guy's crying on the sideline. LT's probably crying at his house. Talking
was
about
that Lance's lock.
I don't know. Let me bring that up right now, though. He just loves USC, so I don't know who he took in that one. But lanceslock.com, guys, don't be me. And I'm saying this as your friend and host of your favorite Roll Tide Pods show with Jake Coker. And I've had a terrible year. Even when I know what's going to happen, I get it wrong. You need to check out Lance's Lock and lanceslock.com. You got college football, but now you got basketball. You got college basketball. You got the NBA and the bowl games coming up and NFL.
Yep.
Which, by the way, the Ravens won again. I saw that. Lanceslock.com.
All good things come to an end.
I was hoping that Derrick Henry would go to the Ravens, but the Gus bus just tore right through Seattle. But I don't want to get into the NFL. Nobody cares about. Yeah. Nobody cares about that. They did care when Ozzie Newsome was the GM of the team. Not there. One
Is he not there anymore?
I think he's there, but I don't know what his role is now.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah. I've met him a few times.
Love him.
Mobile guy.
Yeah.
I think he's got a house over in Fairhope.
Does he?
Yeah, I think he lives over here now.
Really? Well, let's go to his house. I'm calling Wendell Hudson. Be like, hey, tell him that Jake and I are coming over. We're bringing a kegerator, though. I don't know if we like to drink a lot of beer. So I tell you, man. Well,
before you get to another pick, we're gonna just gloss over my Clemson pick of the week last week.
You've been good, man.
This is my best year I've ever had.
This is
best year I've ever had.
Coker's lock has been pretty good. Like,
it's been crazy.
Gosh, man. Like, every week I'm like, man, I should we sit in here and talk about these. And you did say that. I took the other team, but I did say that the guys were going to play, that they had to. Like, it was one of those games where if you don't show up for your head coach after Tyler from Spartanburg called up and shit all over him.
No, yeah.
You have no guts, and they played a hell of a game.
You know who I also liked a lot was A&M, and they pushed.
Did they?
Yeah, -3, or they were +3.
Man, they could have won though. But yeah,
it's amazing to me how Vegas. I mean, it just makes you wonder.
Is that but those guys, like, think about this. All of the stuff that we do as pros, right? All the stuff that we work on in our life, like their whole life is like figuring out games. But I say that, how could you figure out every game?
I mean, yeah, how you account for, pick sixes and just crazy bounces of the ball.
Yeah, but it always seems to be like you'll be in the fourth quarter and you're like, man, we're right on the number.
Oh, yeah. I mean, -3 and for Texas A&M to lose by 3, just wild. Of course, and then the ones that are off, it's almost like the public was just hammering the losing side, like Clemson, USC.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. I want to hear. Tell me about your Clemson pick.
Well, I mean, Clemson -3 or +3. Who would have ever picked Clemson at 4-4 to beat Notre Dame? Like, it makes no sense. Or
which is what you said.
Yeah, to lose by 3 to Notre Dame. This is basically when I first started betting. I used to do the same thing. Like, oh, that's easy money. Take Notre Dame. Who would ever not take Notre Dame? It's that line's crazy, and then I'd lose every one. And then you start looking at it and you're like, okay, Vegas knows public's on one side. They're on Notre Dame. This line makes no sense. They know they're going to make money on Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
There's something they know something I don't. They've figured it out.
They saw it.
Yeah. When they could have put the line at they could have had Notre Dame. Notre Dame should have been the 7-point favorite at least.
Right.
And Notre Dame, if they played 10 times, Notre Dame probably beats them 7 out of 10 times.
I'll tell you that too, man. Like, of these games, first off, I never thought USC. I don't know if this is an offensive phrase. I'm going to say it anyway. Would shit the bed like they have this year. And for anybody that shits the bed, that's not directed at you. Who would have thought that they would be so bad, though?
Well, when you can't play defense, you can't be consistent.
Gosh, man.
That's it.
So crazy.
That's all there is to it. You can't be consistent without defense.
The guy's crying in his mom's arms on TV.
It's a tough look, man.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so then you throw that one out there. And then I never thought that Sam Hartman would lose like 3 games either. Like, the guy's great, man. And you think Notre Dame, all the talent they had, but they have like a difference-making quarterback this year. The guy had like a rib removed and made a necklace out of it. Like, I love him.
That's kind of odd.
I know, but he's tough. He's tough. And they stink. Like, now they've like, the Ohio State game, they should have won, but they didn't. Then Louisville getting your ass kicked like that. Okay, come on. But then this one, this is the one where you're like, you guys aren't that good. Like, you're okay.
Yeah, you just show up at
good
certain
doesn't
times.
Apply to you.
They're good. It's all, you always say these teams that anybody on any perfect Saturday can show up and play with anybody, and that doesn't make you good. It means you're talented, but I'd rather have the guy who's really good and consistent than a really talented guy. And that's Notre Dame's
coaching. That and I'm
Notre
sure
Dame's
that's a Nick Saban
that
thing too, man. I mean, think about it. If you're coaching and you're the one that's like making the lineup and figuring out how to like game plan, who would you rather have? Would you rather have the guy that is got a lot of talent but can't put the shit together? Or would you rather have the guy that's like, I know what I'm getting out of him?
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of times the talented guys just think that talent makes up for mistakes and attention to detail.
You're exactly right.
But there's only really, you think about it, Dabo did it for a little while.
I'm not off the Dabo.
I mean,
I still like Dabo.
I do
by the
too.
way. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I think that he might be the guy when Saban leaves, it takes over, and I'd be fine with that.
Oh yeah, Coach Smart has done it.
He's
but
done.
We're going to see if he can do it for 15, 20 years.
He's great.
Coach Saban's the only guy who's ever done it for. He's been there 18 years.
Yeah.
Been in Alabama for 18 years. He's the only coach.
How long has he been? He hadn't been at Alabama 18 years, has he?
19 years. 07 to 23.
Are you serious? Is that 19?
How do you do that for 19 years? How do you stay focused that long? And then you get these guys. I mean, the 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars, who, especially in this era on social media, everybody's kissing their ass, and he still maintains that level of focus and gets the best out of those guys that, now are making probably $200, $300, $400, $500, $1 million a year.
Yeah.
That's that same level of focus, that same level of dominance. I don't think there will ever be a guy that can do what he does.
No.
Never.
Well, here's what he does that's better than everybody else, is that he's able to refocus after winning. And success is the hardest thing to bounce back from, because there's complacency sets in. You're happy, you're content, like you just won. Look at the guys and the coaches that have won championships along the Saban way, right?
Oh yeah.
And I remember, and I've probably talked about it on here before. One of my best friends worked for Alabama, worked closely with Saban. And he's like, you won a championship. Nobody wanted to sit with him on the plane because he's like trying to figure out the roster for next year on the way back from the game.
Oh yeah.
Of winning the championship.
Oh, they had staff meetings like a few days after the national championship game, just to, game plan for next year.
Right.
I mean, it was I remember hearing former coaches talk about,
how do you do that?
Now that we've won, we've been working longer than anybody in the country because we're in the last game of the season, and we're right back to work, the week of winning the national championship, which, I think that's incredible. There aren't too many people out there that expect that much of themselves in the program and what they see in their future. Coach Saban's just a different animal. And again, you're not going to see anybody else like him ever again.
No. It's almost like he's so focused on what but I feel like he's enjoyed this season a little bit more. How many times have you ever heard him say, I woke up on Sunday and I was tired? With that said, and he said that today in the press conference, I've never seen him sit back and go, like, it's like he just wins the next race, and then he like laces his shoes and he's on to the next one. And that's what makes him special to me.
Well, and the thing about him now, again, for being the best and the best to ever do it, is that unless he's totally mentally incompetent while he's doing the job, which, hopefully that never happens. His words are always going to carry more weight than anybody else you've ever heard coach on a field or
right.
in the film room. Coach Saban at 70% still as good as 95% of the coaches in the country.
Yeah.
More than that, probably. At the end of the day, coaching profession's not any different than any other profession out there as far as who's involved. And look, guys want to be with their families. Guys want to have a good time. Coach Saban has somehow managed with that work ethic to build with Miss Terry, build, an ideal lifestyle. His kids are great. His family just seems to be, again, just in an ideal situation. He's different than anybody in all phases of life. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. All right, I made some notes during the football game. So First off, Tommy Rees, guy's doing a good job, man. I mean, this is what I've told you before. I was pissed last year after this game because of the lack of creativity with the game plan.
Yeah.
And when as soon as you take that last drink, I want you to tell me what you thought. But I think Tommy Rees is doing a great job, man. Like, I love what I'm seeing right now.
You know, it's he's evolved as much as this team has over the year. I mean, it is a completely different look when you see Alabama play now in comparison to what we were doing at the beginning of the year. Now, I think most of that is him having a better understanding of what his offense, what his personnel can do, you know, what they're capable of. I think him trusting, all right, Jalen's our guy. Now I can just completely create a playbook for him. And now that he's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I've said it.
Because you're seeing quarterback runs now that you really haven't seen until the Tennessee game.
Well, what I said to you is I've watched sports my entire life, and I can tell when a guy's not moving the way that he was moving. That's what I said last week and the week before that. Like, this is the guy that he is.
Well, but, you know,
in my opinion, I may be wrong, but I don't think I am.
But even week 1, week 2, Texas.
Week 1 and week 2, he was fine.
I mean,
Texas, he was overwhelmed with the whole thing.
Texas, he still didn't look like a dominating force running the ball.
No. But, I think part of it is that when you know that he's relying on the run, it's easy to take the run away. But when you got to now all of a sudden, and I think LSU defended the deep ball.
Oh, they did. I mean, they were dropping. There was a lot of
deep
times
zones and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you just
and you're like, all right, well, is that what you want to do?
That 20-yard touchdown pass. I mean, but here's the thing too. He's keeping his eyes downfield. So yeah. I mean, what do? You come up and play the quarterback run, or do you
and that's my point.
Back and make him run the ball?
Yeah,
and then go make a play. Problem is, you sit back and make him run the ball. He's running full speed, and you're sitting there trying to make a tackle on a guy that's an all-world athlete, and it's damn near impossible.
They weren't expecting that because they're watching film and they're like, oh, this guy, you know, they're not thinking like he's not hurt.
This is a different guy than we've seen all year,
right? But the first game, but he couldn't throw the first game.
But when you see, again, LSU's defense is bad, but they're better than Middle Tennessee.
Oh, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that he's healthy. Like, he's like back to like that part of what he can do, because what's really going to make him and has made him a better player is that he had to use a different part of his ability to win these games because he couldn't run.
Well, he's seeing the field so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, he's seeing the field. But the most dangerous thing in college football now, and what you didn't see 10, 15 years ago was guys that I mean, it's the Patrick Mahomes effect, you know, running around, creating time, keeping your eyes downfield, making it impossible to guard people that long, but also making the defense figure out, all right, are we going to commit to the quarterback runs, or are we going to commit to making him run and cover longer on the back end? And again, if you can do that, do what Jalen's doing what Jayden Daniels is doing, you're damn near impossible to stop. I will tell you, did you see that play by Jace McClellan?
Look at that poor. Could you just put that up on the screen right there? That looks like something from, I mean,
that's a commercial beer.
That is, I'm proud of myself. Just for all of you guys out there, just go ahead, tip of the cap.
When Ryan comes Thursday, he's going to be pumped.
I can't wait. This is for you guys. I'm doing for you guys because you guys make my week, man. I love it when Rhino's here, man. He is such a good dude.
He's so funny. He was at the game.
I know. He was supposed to come by Innisfree, but he just.
Did his boy Braswell make any plays for Saturday
He did.
night?
Well, he did. He forced some stuff, you know.
One thing he didn't tell last week was, or maybe he did and I just missed it, but Did he tell you about his visit to the locker room at halftime at the Tennessee game?
No. Well, he told us that he went in there, and I said, "Did those guys know you?"
No, about the Coach Saban speech?
No.
Oh man, well I can't share any detailed information, but he was like, "Man, I heard the first 5 minutes and I got the hell out of there."
Is that why Saban busted a vessel in his eyeball?
Probably so. Probably so.
Yeah.
You know what? I'd be interested to know if it was after that Tennessee halftime speech is when he burst a blood vessel.
I love that guy, man. Nick Saban. I mean, so okay. So I don't want to talk about Kentucky because Thursday I'm bringing the bourbon in.
Ooh.
Have you ever had old fashioned before?
Oh yeah.
You like those?
Oh yeah.
Not really.
I'm not a huge bourbon guy.
I was gonna hook you up, but look, I'll you guys can do these and I'll do old fashions because we're playing Kentucky, but we got to stick to the LSU.
I'm not too excited about this game because I'm nervous, after we win a big game against LSU, we're young. Kentucky's good. They're a lot better than what they get credit for. I mean,
good
Stoops
uniforms
has them
too.
Oh yeah, Stoops has them where they're supposed to be. I mean, they're a good football team. They just, if he could get talent there, man, it would be a different ball game.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah,
because I agree with you, and we're going to get back together on Thursday. So first half, the game was kind of back and forth, and then Daniels ripped down the field at the end of the first half.
When they scored that touchdown before halftime, I was like, oh God, they're getting the ball back and we're in trouble.
I know. And I felt the same way. I was like, how are you going to stop these guys? Because it's not really like
just effortless runs.
Yeah.
It was just like,
man, you can't really stop them,
Well, as when I was, we were all talking at halftime and beginning of the second half, it was one of those games where it was like, somebody's going to force a turnover, and whoever does that is going to win this game.
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was Dallas Turner making another huge play, guy finds the ball, got a nose for the ball, and he just makes shit happen.
I was I just can't tell you how impressed I was with Daniels. I mean, because Alabama's defense is good. Like I don't think that Alabama has a bad defense. I think that they're just really, really good.
Well, I don't think there's anything you can do to stop it.
You can't.
There's nothing you can do.
Because his runs, I mean, then we put 5 in the box and then he would still run. But you know what? He took some hits. And like I said before, it's the same thing with Bryce Young. Like people can be upset about a guy getting tackled and get hit, but that's what you've been there. I mean, that's the sucky part about the job.
Shoot, man. Yeah, man. Last year we lose to Tennessee and hell, you remember that helmet to helmet that Bryce Young took last year?
Way worse than what Dallas did.
I had somebody call me today asking me about, always gets all the calls. I'll be like, I brought up all these, hits from the past. It's like, dude, it's crazy how people, they say that about Alabama when
Auburn guy,
Ole Miss guy, he's got plenty to be upset about anyway, but it's crazy to me how Alabama catches all this flack for the bad calls. And it's funny, I saw Will Muschamp at QB Country in Mobile last year, and I love Will Muschamp.
Where's he at now?
Georgia.
Okay, so he's still
and I was like, I saw him, his son was working out, and I saw him, and we kind of made eye contact at the same time, and walk up to each other, and I was like, man, last time I saw you, you were mother effing all the refs, and you're about to get thrown out of that game at the Iron Bowl in 2015. He started laughing. He was like, yeah, I knew what was going on there. The SEC office down in Birmingham, they wanted you on the SEC championship. I was like, come on.
Get out of here, pal. Yeah. No. We got shitty calls this time. I mean, the calls went against Alabama, and they still won.
Yeah, I mean, we're better than LSU. I mean,
we are. And you knew the defense was eventually going to make a play. How about this though? I know Jayden Daniels got knocked out, but Kevin Steele's adjustments. This is different than Pete Golding. You know, like no points against Tennessee. Okay, 7 points against LSU.
Well, he's just not
3
afraid.
points against Texas A&M. You know what I'm saying? Like they've made the adjustments.
He's not afraid to pull the trigger and be aggressive on defense, and I think the defense fuels off of that. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
he's not afraid to bring people and play man and say, "Hey, if you beat us, you beat us." You know, but you're gonna have to make a play.
Which is, I like that.
I do too.
Like, let's go.
Yeah, and again, Jayden Daniels made plays. I mean, there were some times, God, we were basically playing cover 0 in the red zone, and he runs it for a touchdown against basically, again, cover 0, which is you don't run the ball against that front of that coverage, and he did it. I mean, it just, it didn't matter what you did. He was going to find a way. And luckily we just endured everything he had and eventually took over. But man, I tell you, I don't care who they're playing all year long. If he's playing, if he's healthy, they got a chance to beat anybody. And it'll probably be a close game, even if they lose.
Yeah.
Because their defense, I mean, they're not going to stop anybody. But, it's like USC. I mean, they're just going to score. And if their defense gets a turnover, then maybe they have a chance to win.
Yeah.
But it's just the danger of playing LSU this year.
Yep. I've described the performance by Jalen Milroe as, I know I'm texting people. I'm an OG Bama fan, so I know this is old, but I'm telling you, it was like when Sean Alexander ran all over him in '96.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, man, like it was a one-man show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the offensive line I thought played really well too.
They're getting better. Yeah.
And when we had to run the ball, we were physical up front. Created a lot of movement and allowed our backs to find holes and make plays and gash them a little bit.
Right.
I'd tell you, man, our stable of running backs is a lot better than I thought too.
Yeah, but they're improving.
They are.
It's not like.
And what's his name? I can't remember his name. Was it number 17? 17 or 19?
Jam?
No, not Jam, and not Roydell.
It wasn't Roydell, and you're not talking about Justice, and you're not talking about. I'll look it up.
I mean, there's a guy. It must just be he doesn't understand the pass blocking scheme yet. Let's not get it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when he gets the ball and he runs, I mean, it is violent, and he is so athletic with the ball. I mean, he's just so agile. And
you think it's Jam?
No, Jam's 26, isn't it? Isn't he 26?
Yeah. No, Isaiah Bond's 17, and Tresman Marshall. Are you think? Are you
must have the numbers mixed up?
Yeah. You might be thinking Justice Haynes is 22.
I'll think of him here in a minute.
Yeah. Well, you know who else was 22? Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, he was.
How weird is it? Like, was there another 14 on the team when you were on the team? You wore 14, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know why I asked that. I'm looking at you right there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm stupid. I don't know. But, one time, though, I was talking to Jay Barker. I was on his show, and like, and I'm like, yeah, you were 12, right? And then I'm like, what? Everybody knows he was 7, but I don't know why I just said that. It is the weirdest thing about Alabama, which is kind of the coolest thing, is that you all have kind of like your individual identities based on your number. Like, think about that. Like,
no, that's right.
Like your helmet and your jersey are just a number.
I mean, even now I look at players and I don't remember their names right off the top of my head. I mean, I remember, some of them, but usually it's the number that I associate with the player, Well, you don't get to see anybody's faces.
Yeah, right.
In football. I mean,
I know.
Especially with the number on the side of your helmet.
If we win the championship, I'm going to wear that number 99 helmet on the entire show. Right behind you. It's a real
another cigar show.
Yeah. That'd be another cigar show. I've been contemplating I was going to smoke Ryan's cigar, but then I was like, I got to give Ryan his cigar.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't here, but
he probably smoked that thing Saturday.
No, I'm going to give it to him. I'm giving it to him on Thursday.
Gave it to
him.
him.
No, I forgot. Like, because we got done the show and it was such a fun, like these shows go by for us. And I don't know about you guys, but we do read the comments and we really appreciate it. Like I'm not the best host. These guys are great. But I'll say this, we have a damn good time doing it.
Yeah, we do.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'm like,
as you can tell by watching, we're having a good time.
Yeah, we have fun. And then when the show ends, like the show really doesn't end. Like we actually hang out and the good stuff really comes after that. But I forgot. I'm going to give it to him on Thursday because I want him to smoke that, Although a good cigar after an LSU.
You gonna smoke this room up?
I don't care. I got now that like Stephanie bought this like thing and it was in our house forever, right? And I'm like, what is this? And then we smoked the cigars in here, and it smelled like a cigar house. And so I bought the little filters for it, and like 2 days later, you couldn't even tell. So we can smoke them in here. It's amazing. And I told her, I said, it's amazing. Like I can't even pick up a scent of cigar in here anymore. Well,
I wouldn't be able to tell you. COVID from 2021 has still ruined my smell. So
right. I'm with you. Well, I'm not. Actually, I'm not. I can still smell it. And like when you have an 11-year-old boy, sometimes you wish you didn't have smell.
Oh yeah, well, let me take you back to cleaning diapers when you're. let me rephrase that. I can't really smell, but when I'm changing a diaper, it hits me like a freight train.
Yeah. You said this was one of the most fulfilling wins. It really was.
This one in the Tennessee, I mean, back to back, it was just one of those. At the end of the game, you knew who the dominant team was, and there was no doubt about it.
I feel like if this team gets to the playoff,
I cannot wait. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I can't wait for the SEC championship.
Oh, for Georgia? Oh, Alabama. I told them. They were on my post-game show, and I'm like, you guys don't – well, Alabama's going to end your streak.
Well, here's the thing about Georgia.
Alabama's going to end your streak.
Here's the thing about Georgia, though. I mean, our defense is – damn good.
Right.
They don't have Brock Bowers, and look, their quarterback's good and all, but the only thing I fear is a guy that can run the ball like Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, and he's not doing
If Jayden Daniels couldn't move and all he could do was throw, we're in pretty damn good shape.
Yeah. And this team's hungry.
Yeah. And even if you rip off a few 8-yard runs, I mean, that guy, Carson Beck, he's not ripping off 40 yards at a time.
No. He's not
consistently.
Yeah. No, he's not doing that. I don't even want to talk about it because, there's a guy that calls that rat poison, and it is. But I told him on the post-game show, you don't want to see this team. Your little streak will be over.
It was cute.
And right.
It was a cute thing.
Yeah. You be glad that LSU won last year.
Oh, yeah.
And they did. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from LSU's win last year. The Tennessee game still is the most suspicious BS that I've ever seen. The officiating, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But you know what? Give Saban credit because so many other programs, when you have that much talent and you have all of those things going your way and it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, how many programs could just come back and do what this guy's doing?
There's no loss of focus. And again, his best teams almost are the teams that don't have much experience and just grow throughout the year as long as they, keep from losing 2 games early on.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to even say this, but I mean, as long as we are on cruise control for the rest of the year, we're in good shape to make the playoff. Make it the SEC championship. I think we got to win one of the 2.
Just got to win a game.
Yeah.
You feel confident about that?
Yeah.
That's what makes me the worst host in sports. But I'm with you. I'd feel the same way. I just think we'll be focused.
Yeah. I mean,
there's going to be a lot of those like, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? Like you said it. Like I could see that with him. Like there's a reason why they don't lose to all these like upstarts.
No, that's right. I mean, again, they'll probably. Look, they're a good team, but
It's not disrespecting Kentucky.
No, I mean I would say it's more so being respectful to Mark Stoops. He's created a persona, at least from the outside looking in, that Kentucky's a team to be respected. And despite the fact that they cannot recruit the talent that the Alabamas, even Auburn's, Florida's, I mean, he's having a coach at a level that's surpasses everybody else in the conference because he doesn't have the talent.
Right.
And it's not because of the lack of recruiting on his part. It's just lack of resources that Kentucky provides. Like Calipari said last year, it's a basketball school. I mean, you can't fight that,
Yeah. I don't think Stoops liked that.
No, he didn't.
And honestly, I felt bad for Stoops for that.
I thought it was a terrible thing to say for him for Calipari to say that. I agree. It's probably. I mean, when you think Kentucky, you think basketball.
Yeah,
and it's true. I think it was a shitty thing for him to say, and it didn't help Stoops. I think that does cause issues with recruits. I think it really, truly does. I think recruits see that and they're like, "Yeah, we're not even a priority,"
Right. Yeah.
And so to say that, I mean, and I would take offense to that if I was Stoops. Hell, he made his job harder,
Yeah. And eventually he's going to go somewhere and,
he will.
But he's paid. I mean, he's one of the top paid coaches in football.
Oh yeah. He deserves it. He's one of he's one of the best coaches around.
Yeah.
I think wholeheartedly that Coach Stoops is one of the best coaches in the country. He just, again, he's I think he's done the most with what he's got.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy there many years ago that was named after an animal, and he did very successful at Kentucky. His name was Bear.
Yeah.
And they never really
people forget that.
Yeah. They haven't had a lot, but I'll tell you this, sadly, I was in school when Alabama lost down there for the first time since World War I.
Oof.
And that sucked. And so it can happen. I mean, and then Saban had a comeback win there, basically they had a miracle win there. And then at LSU, and then the next week Alabama came in and beat the shit out of them. Roll Tide, Saban. You don't mess with this team. Did you know that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They won on like a Hail Mary, and then the next week we came in there and wiped them out.
Oh, is that when they beat LSU?
Oh, yeah, when he was LSU head coach.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I found out. The Wave came in there and washed them away. Then they came down and got us pretty good.
Was Jared Lorenzen playing then?
Yes.
Okay.
But when and then we went there with a guy named Dennis Franchione. I actually have his bobblehead doll somewhere. They had, is it up there? We had Dennis Franchione, like the Arby's had the Dennis Franchione bobbleheads, and you could get Dennis in his white polo or his crimson polo. Is he not there?
No, he's not. Okay. Irwin Dudley looks a lot like Spreewell.
Yeah. I got Irwin Dudley. I got King. Rod Gazzard. You guys can't see him, but I love those bobblehead dolls. Jim Wells.
I got Petway in his red shoes.
Yeah. Jim Wells, man, that was my guy. I love Jim Wells. He was Alabama's baseball coach. Great guy, man. He used to let me sit in the dugout when he was coaching and just would teach me baseball. Like I was getting coached. Like we'd sit in there and then he would be talking to me and he'd just be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like he'd just like pop out and start screaming at people, and he'd come back and he'd be like, "These guys are going to be farmers, lawyers, doctors, and if I don't win 50 games, they're going to fire me, or whatever." He was awesome, man. I love Jim Wells. I just leave that. I love him. one of the biggest influences on my career.
Yeah.
And I was at the college radio station. So he's up there. So those are old, man. I'd love a Saban bobblehead, but I don't think they have any. What about a Jake Coker? Is there a Coker bobblehead?
I highly doubt it.
Be a good one to have.
You know who I met at a Alabama golf tournament 2 years ago? Old Wimp.
Oh, yeah. My first ever TV game was with Wimp.
I bet he is fun. I mean, I wish I could have played with him because, I mean, I bet he is a blast.
First time I ever did TV, Wimp and me, we did UAB against Southern Miss in Birmingham.
Really?
Yeah.
How was he?
That was awesome, man. Yeah. He was great.
He just seems like he wouldn't give a shit.
Nah, he was cool. He was cool. I like Wimp. I love him. I think he was great.
No, when I say that, I mean like he
doesn't.
He'll shoot from the hip and have a good time.
They're like
my kind of guy.
Everybody was like, oh, guys, glad you're getting your shot. But just with Wimp, like he was going to be terrible. And then I get on there, and I think they just meant like he just doesn't give a shit. Like,
Yeah, he's just going to call it like he sees it. And
no, he was great.
Those are the best broadcasters to me.
Yeah, me too.
Like Stabler just
Snake, man. I'll tell you, radio is not the same anymore, man. And it's not just him, but it's just people like him.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, had that incident happened,
he's the best ever, dude. Like, he's the best that Alabama is ever going to have on radio.
And he didn't even do it on purpose. Never even. When they hired him, did he have any experience prior to that?
He listened to games growing up.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
How incredible is that?
I know. And I'm like with you, man. Like, you just had to listen to him. And Eli was good. Like, Eli let him do his thing, and then,
Oh, yeah. I mean, he just I don't know if you'll ever find a better broadcaster in Alabama of live sports.
Yeah.
Just the way he did it, you can't beat it.
I think about him when I'm at the Floribama, and they're like, that's Snake's seat, And you're like, really? Okay. Sometimes we just kind of missed it. You know what I mean? Like, we were there, but we weren't, and can you imagine like if Snake was like on there now, the stories and all that stuff, because he missed the whole Saban thing.
No, yeah. That was what, 06?
I don't know, but he wasn't there when we were winning championships.
No, I'm trying to think.
Maybe 92.
Who did John Parker replace? It was Phil
Savage, Fairhope guy.
Yeah.
I don't know him. I mean, my Phil Savage, I met Phil. He was a scout, I think a scout for the Ravens, or he was something for the Ravens. I was a student at Alabama. I just wanted to work for the Ravens because I'm from there. You know? No. I'm getting this all fucked up. Let me start over again. I met him. I wanted him to come on my college radio show. And I call him to come on and just talk about football. And he tried to get me an internship. Which, looking back now, I should have just been like, yeah, I'll be there on Monday. So I like him. And then I got to do when we won our first championship, I was like the fill-in engineer, so I was in there with him and Eli, like pushing the buttons and stuff. And I'll never forget that, because I remember Saban being like, we're gonna win 2, we're gonna win 3, we're gonna win 4, and I'm like, no, man, we just won 1, like not thinking that this was possible.
Oh yeah.
So
who'd ever thought? I mean, after Bear Bryant, you think after Bear Bryant, I'm sure people thought, well, this is it. I mean, we'll never have anything close to this.
I didn't think so. I'd run into those guys at like parties and bars and stuff. And the people that yeah, man, I had an RV and I went to every game from 73 to 79, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm not going to be part of something like that.
Yeah.
And then to be part of something like that, like, I mean, and you've seen it, there's a lunchbox behind you that's got some pretty damn good tickets in it,
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's heavy.
And the majority of the good tickets are from the time that Saban showed up. But I think you and me should go. If we get to the championship game, we should go.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
I mean, like this team, I'm falling in love with this team, man. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm falling in love with these guys. Like, I like the fact that I just like their worker mentality.
I've liked them from the start. I mean, I know people, again, they didn't like Jalen at first. I've always liked him. I felt like he had the capability to lead this team to possibly a national championship. I mean, I know that's still a lofty goal, but man, after watching this weekend, Tennessee second half, I mean, the guy's a playmaker. He can do whatever you ask him to do. And sure, he may throw a few high balls here and there, but at the end of the day, man, I leadership at Alabama with his athleticism and his ability to complete balls down the field. I wouldn't want to be a defensive coordinator trying to game plan against him because I don't think there's many answers.
Well, now that he's had to persevere and read defenses enough and work through the injury and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's a weapon.
Oh yeah.
It's a different type of weapon. And he's confident. And you know what I really like about him is he just seems like a good dude. Like he just seems like a really happy guy.
Well, he gets to enjoy it now. You know, I mean, he's been through the benching.
Mm-hmm.
He's, dealt with the backlash, and now he finally gets to say, "Screw all you people.
Yeah,
I'm here for Alabama. I'm going to just play freely and win ball games." And that's, I tell you, once you go through the benching scenario and you hear the media just trashing you, and you get to the point where you're just like,
how's that for fun?
Excuse me, but fuck it.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna,
yeah, excuse me. How's that for fun?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh, and you just don't care anymore? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Did you? When we get done, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories along these lines. But what's that feeling like?
I mean, it's just freeing. You just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel a lot more. You feel the freedom to tell your teammates, your coaches, "Hey, again, I've already been benched. We're gonna do bench me again."
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out here and play my ass off, and you love your teammates. It looks like this team gets along very well. Like they care about each other. That's how I felt. I mean, our team was very close. Once it's kind of your teammates against the world, and sometimes against your coaches,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a certain degree, until you gain their confidence, I mean, it builds a bond that, I mean, it's like when Ryan's in here, man, you feel like you're kind of brothers for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. And he'll be here Thursday. He says he'll be here Thursday.
He says he'll be here Thursday. I'm going to drag his ass in here Thursday.
I think he had so much fun last show that he's coming back Thursday. Because I could tell by the amount of texts we got on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, those were like, I wish you guys were hanging out with us making fun of this guy in my aisle wearing the LSU gear. All right. Well, we got to wrap it up. We've gone over our allotted time again this week, which is something that we always do.
What happens when you're having a good time?
Oh, I know it goes by so fast, man. All right, so we hit on the Clemson game, we hit on the USC game. Any other games that you want to hit on?
Let's see. I had A&M that pushed. You talked me into Washington. Thank you.
I'm good at that. I didn't say the guy was crying. I mean, you got to admit, like, that was pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean,
you should have known. He should have known. Like, his parents would have been like, "Mick's taking you on the show. You probably should quit playing football."
He also said you were first overall pick. You might want to wait till next year.
Yeah. Mick said you might be the first pick in the draft. Don't go back to football anymore. He might quit.
Man, I tell you,
that crying, that was some pretty intense. Did you ever do that? Did you ever jump into your mom's arms after a game, cry on camera like that?
I was pretty emotional after that Ole Miss game. Because
you were like, if you guys would have just stuck with me, we'd have beat these guys.
But nobody nobody
I'm
was
saying
gonna,
that for him. I'm his attorney.
No, I mean, nobody was going to see me,
Right.
of course I didn't cry like that. That was tough. I mean, just pissed off in the locker room afterwards. But man, that's one of those deals. I wouldn't want and again, you hate to beat on a guy that was down that bad, but man, when you're the quarterback, you can't let people see you get that emotional and that down, and
Yeah,
or any position of leadership. I mean,
it's tough.
I
agree with you.
know he's got
You're
a lot
right.
of pressure on him, but at the same time, you got to be able to keep it together.
My first job in baseball was with this guy named Russ Nixon. And Russ was, lifer in baseball, right? He managed the Reds after the big red machine and got fired. And then he managed the Braves and then got fired for Bobby Cox. But he was awesome. And one of the things he told me was like, he's like, you can't get too high and you can't get too low.
Yeah.
And he meant that in everything because leadership wise.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that. Like, it's hard not to be emotional, but what he's saying is like you just want to keep people consistent, which is what Saban does. I mean, I saw this this story. Tua was on I think Dan Patrick or one of those shows, and he's like, I threw the touchdown and win the game, and I saw Coach Saban after the game. Do you see this? And he's like, Saban's asking me why I took the sack. And I'm like, I just needed more room to throw. And then he's like, Saban's like, not laughing. And he realized like it's not funny to him.
Yeah. All right, Coach, I'm going to go celebrate.
Yeah. The same reason why nobody wants to sit with him on the plane rides back from winning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you see that though?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh man, how do you stay that consistent? The result was great, but don't ever do it again.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had a great time, guys. Again, we appreciate all the comments that you guys have left in the comment section. We're expecting the great Ryan Anderson to be back with us next time, and we appreciate all of you guys. I'm just going to say this right now. I know that it's controversial, but roll Tide.
Roll Tide, buddy.
Just roll Tide, man. What a great win.
Hard not to let that one slip out.
I mean, come on, man. Like, get out of here.
No, yeah.
Take your,
take your corn dogs and go back to the swamp, buddy. And your freaking, penalty complaints. We've been through it and we still won.
Like and subscribe.